One was dwelling in Rajagiri at Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of the Sangha of monks and a great gathering of the Sangha of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi that expresses the Dharma called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, while practicing the profound Prajnaparamita, saw in this way. He saw the 5 skandhas to be empty of nature. Form is emptiness. Bodhisattva Mahasattva. How should a son or daughter of noble family train who wishes to practice the profound Prajnaparamita? Addressed in this way, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, said to Venerable Shariputra, O Shariputra, a son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the profound Prajnaparamita should see in this way, seeing the 5 skandhas to be empty of nature. Form is emptiness, emptiness also is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, perception, formation, and consciousness are emptiness. Thus, Shariputra, all dharmas are emptiness. There are no characteristics, there is no birth and no cessation. There is no impurity and no purity. There is no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no formation, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no dharmas, no I dhatu up to no mind dhatu, no dhatu of dharmas, no mind consciousness dhatu, no ignorance, no end of ignorance up to no old age and death, no end of old age and death, no suffering, no origin of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since the bodhisattvas have no attainment, they abide by means of Prajnaparamita. Since there is no obscuration of mind, there is no fear. They transcend falsity and attain complete nirvana. All the Buddhas of the 3 times, by means of Prajnaparamita, fully awaken to unsurpassable, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the great mantra of Prajnaparamita, the mantra of great insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as truth, since there is no deception. The Prajnaparamita mantra is said in this way: Teata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangati Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train the profound Prajnaparamita. And the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, thus it is, O son of noble family, thus it is. One should practice the profound Prajnaparamita just as you have taught, and all the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, that whole assembly in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Chanarazamaraya Mede Ata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangati Bodhisoha Baba Gonju Sonji Gate Tempe Doji She Odoji Meba Doji Shewa Doji Jagi Baji Medum Beju Donji Shedin Gari So Ingeri Nuja Jeju Shewa Da Metu Nube Dan Jewa Da Jumba Junjin Bonzo Zon Joji Nashi Yanden The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers. Adorn Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. Holy Lamas high, wrap the sky of your Dharma bodies in massive clouds of knowledge and love, and let them pour upon the earth of your disciples as we are ready, a shower of rain, teachings deep and wide. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Gandhi Radayami. Zaye Janam La Jajo Badu Dani Jasu Jindagi Junye Jibe Zunanji Jola Benji Zanji Bajo. Jadan Zaye Janam La Jajo Badu Dani Jasu Jindagi Junye Jibe Zunanji Jola Benji Zanji Bajo. Jadan Zaye Janam La Jajo Badu Dani Jasu Jindagi Junye Jibe Zunanji Jola Benji Zanji Bajo.
Oh, yeah, that's not too long. It's about the name. Touch me, Chungo to the Mona, the boy, Marbella. Chungo Sambajan, somebody Chivisilla, Lotu Seva, Sambajan, what the la, Yideshima to Jibatan, Yideshima di Tatemani, Yideshima di Tatema, John Lutan, Lady Nane, Lende Marbe, Lende the la. Nimba, Dele Taji Sawa, Ishi Tebachi Bolasum. Lende Shazamba, the Sheda, the Samba San, and Judusha, Saji Sonji, Shazamba, Mudan, Susu Shet Samba, and Talaji, Ling Ebal, Super Gigi, Susu Shet Samba de la, Lelan Jutu, Dembatan, Let and Jebut Dembas, Talelan Jutu. Then the Nabil and Kabil and J. Legend I Jane Tabasun, Nabil and the Sa, Tanga to Kabil and the Katumar veteran, Kabil and the Katutimba.
Bless her.
Yeah.
So today we will be looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment again. And we're particularly looking at the section that deals with the small scope. So if we look at the major heading of this section, we find that it is training the mind in the stage of the path shared in common with beings of small capacity. So under this major heading, there are 3 points that are made. The actual training of thought of a person of small capacity, the measure of the attitude of a person of small capacity, and then dispelling any misconceptions related to a person of small capacity. So under that first category of the actual training of thought of a person of small capacity, we find 2 points. First, developing the state of mind that strives diligently for the sake of future lives, and then the next category of relying on a means or a method for achieving happiness in one's next life. So under the category of that achievement of happiness in one's next life, so the method for that, we find 2 major headings. First, refuge, and then karma and its results. So if we go right to the section on karma and its results, we'll find the major heading over that section is developing the faith of conviction in karma and its results, that is the root of all temporary happiness and certain goodness. So this is the major heading. And if we find how is this broken down, we break it down into three categories. Reflecting on karma and its effects in general, reflecting on karma and its effects specifically or with particulars, and then how one abandons negativity or misdeeds and engages in virtue once one has reflected on karma and its results in general and particularly. So these are the three categories. So if we go to this first category, the general, reflecting on karma and its effects in general, we find that there are two main points. The actual way to reflect in general, and then the reflecting on the distinctions or the differences among the varieties of karma. So the differences between the different karmas that there are. So this is the point that's made here. So under this reflecting on general, we have the actual way and then distinctions among the varieties. And under this actual way to reflect in general, we have the 4 points that are made. And then under the section on the distinctions among the varieties of karma, we find 3 sections. First, black actions and their results, next white actions and their results, and then we have a presentation of other classifications of karma. I missed one part in the outline. I apologize as I was going through it. So if we go back to the actual way to reflect in general, we find that there are 4 points. And then reflecting on the distinctions among the varieties of karma, we find 2 points. So I left those 2 points of the outline out by accident. So we have the principal teaching of the 10 paths of action, and then the determination of the effects of actions. So under that section, determination of the effects of actions, that's where we find those 3 sections: black actions and their results, white actions and their results, and then other classifications of karma. So we've gone through the section on black actions and its results, so we're now dealing with white actions and their results. And I apologize for the mix-up in the part of the outline. Dixon.
Ta kabi lende sambato de lani shimde do jatan jesu chaje pepe jena what kabi lende sambalani kabi ledan kabi ndebos to inchang den.
So we are on page 238 in the English and Puik.
Indre jatan jesu chaje.
Jeju Judge, okay.
Kabi lende sambalani kabi ledan ndebos.
Gabi Le Jepu. Yep. Rasa. Okay, so we're on, again, page 238 in the English, and we're dealing with white actions and their results.
Ta kabi ledan ndebos kabi lesna ngaso goju marba gi lejo dra kabi le anati ndebotla ane kabi ndebos marba ndebotla ta nami jindebo dabi ndebo judun jindebo odne sha yongro da marba kabi ledan kabi ndebo osa ta kabi ta gwajo gi lejo ote teshed marba gi lejo megi lejo chaje ta gi le odle de bare kabi ledan kabi ndebo os ta tombo rawa ta tombo kabi led marba ane sujo batan majiba le batan loba yinwa loji le na bason marba sujo ba pombile majiba le ba pombile loye pombile wode pombile zukngalo de sujo majiba malen batan loye majiba tan je ane kabi les lag mares ne sujo batan majiba le batan loye to sole ne junyo ba chini chonson ge nyewa yeda tonlo la suba to sole jea yoba te nyemi tone anu wote sujo bomba sujo bobe le ge le majiba le bombe ge le loye bombe ge le wote le ja ures nyemi ane sujo batan majiba le batan loba yinwa la nyemi ji samba jenjis to sombo de nyemi tone ane wate pomba jila gi le se matu sujo majiba ta majiba le ba majiba ta loje majiba ta le gele shagumare, Kazongas, Telada Mare, Shintabutigi, Sujo Mare, Majiba Lagamare, Loin Shagamare, Gile in Sagamarota. What the Niemi Tune, what the Sujo Majiba Lava, Loin to the Kabajugures, Niemi Samba Jenji, Gay Santa Dembes, Niemi Tune, Gay Santa Dembe, Tada Yantaba Dumbis. Tada Yantaba Dumbi, Sujo Dumba, Majiba Lava Dumba, Loin Dumba Sheba, Dambas, Dambas of the Joao Chur de Mendoa. The San Dane, and the Kayak Lekajia, San Tayadan. That tattoo de le Tatuba Shebi, Lugile Sosa. That Nemi Tune. Sujeba Bumba Tajeba Majibela Tajeba, Louis Tajeba Sondele, Nagi or the Jagures, Tejin to Nangaki, doing Tamachi to the Dabures, the Dabajine, Bombi, and then Agile, Navaji Bombi, Gile Jagures, and the Egypt, Nasenas and Lotus Bombi, and then. Nagi leta iji leshe shaos otabatule longindo temba jibr shebas janjibe sajini jene longindo temba de sujoba de sheba de nagi leta iji leshe shaos otabatule longindo temba de ins gi lecho de dudu jene sombares dudu jene do temba Sheshaus, no Tembache, and she say you want to something what in my Jiba she was, Suju be laid down, and Suju Bombi laid down what they, Je, Samba Joa Tatu, Je Gune, Suju Bombile, what in the Jis, she say you want to something, and Jetan, Samba dance, that Suju Bombi later, Je, Samba. Joa Tatu Jawurs, Diba Magot and Rabures, and Je Samba Joa Tatu Cheriba Jates, Suju Bombi Letabola Tunas, Suju Bombi Letabola Tuna, Suju Bombi Letabola Tunas, Jen Sigenos, Ta Suju Bonsa, Sigen Suju Madu, Sigen Maim Suju. Je Samba Jete, Sentient Jane, Sentient Sujuba de Juntone, or the Kaba, the Dumbi, later, and the Luigi Les from Nagana, Lenabaje, and the Hijinabas, Eles, Gua, Judwater Jagures, Jen Sentient no, Sentient Genosa, Sujuba Tarali Jebi Sentient Sevus, Hazonga Sudama Chinswa. Susu Sebaina, Mago Ju non Sujubi led Mares, Mago Ju non Sujubi led and Rally Jambi, Saint Jean Sobajugures, Jen Saint Jean. Samba de Yemi Tones, Samba ne, and Sujabatan, Majiba Lamba Louis to Sole, and the Yemi Tone, Chili Chonsuge, Niwa that Rula Suba. But Yemi Tone, and what the Yemi Tone, Yemi Tone, Pont de Ba was Tacolonti, but Pont de Ba, Mapuna was in Junior, then a Pongo no Colonche, Tajuat Caresana, Joanne, Sobayanta, Dambi, Dujetos. Ta Suju Bombi, Suju da Majiba Lambatan, Louis Bomba Santan, Anne Santan, and the Collega Jura, the Netre Bongo, what the Joa is the Joa, Damba. Tatu ne, Ataba, Damba Dubi, Luigi Leso, Tatu, Tasuju Bomba Tajeba, and what the Kasure, Deba Magoa Jute. Pomba Tajibi, Gi Lejudala, Tatulagres, Marba. What about the inside? Luigi Leso, Tude, Jean Shibashaus, Suju Leje Samba Juata de Jan and Naji, Deba Mago, Goa, Gulhadurwa, Good de la J Samba Juata, what the Rabasantans, what the Geshe, what the
So now this section, again on page 238, we have black actions and their effects or results. So, black actions. So this section we find the abbreviated truth that we find in Scripture, and then we find the truth as presented in Scripture, and then a more expanded explanation of these white actions and their results. So when we speak of white actions, in this particular case, we're speaking of the 10 virtuous actions. And these 10 virtuous actions are specifically those virtues which are the 10 abandonments. So what one is abandoning are the 10 non-virtuous actions. So by abandoning each one of those non-virtuous actions, or by actively engaging in the abandonment of those non-virtuous actions, one is engaging in virtuous actions. So each one we would look at individually. So we would be engaging in the virtue that abandons killing, engaging in the virtue which abandons stealing, engaging in the virtue which abandons sexual misconduct. So when we look at virtuous actions, we would look at the actual virtues themselves, and then we would look at what the results of those actions are. So we would first identify what the actions that are virtues are, and then we would identify the individual results that each one of those actions brings about. So here we'll read a bit into the text now. Let me see. So then we have, yes, exactly. Okay, I just saw something in my writing. So we have the actual virtuous actions and then the results of those virtuous actions, as I just stated. Okay, so the levels of yogic deeds says that virtuous actions include the physical actions of those who reflect on the faults of killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct and have a virtuous attitude. They have also carried out the performance of correctly restraining themselves from these non-virtuous actions and have brought the restraint to culmination. It states that the same can be said for the four vocal the four vocal actions and the three mental actions. The difference between to substitute vocal actions and mental actions for physical actions. So here, what this is stating is that if we take, for instance, just one of these examples, such as the ethics which abandons killing, and we would look at how this comes to fruition or comes to a completion by looking at the four aspects of each action. We would apply that same formula that we've applied to that first topic, such as the ethics which abandons killing, to the other 9 virtuous activities. So when we look at the actual breakdown of the ethics which abandons killing, we would say that first we have to establish as the basis a sentient being that we are not going to kill. So when we looked at the establishment of basis when it comes to killing, we would have to establish a sentient being that is alive. And then we found the other qualification that it can't be killing oneself. It has to be another person. So when we reflect on this abandonment of killing, we have to reflect on both of these aspects of the basis. So the basis being that A, it's a living being that we're abandoning killing, and B, that it's not ourselves. Because by killing ourselves, this doesn't make a path action of killing. So these are the points that are made related to the basis. And then the next points that are related to the attitude. This attitude is an attitude that wishes to abandon killing. So this is an attitude that wishes to abandon the killing, has the motivation to abandon the killing, and is abandoning the killing by the opposites of the 3 poisons, and so forth. So here, these points are made related to attitude, and then the points that are made related to performance is the actual abandonment of the killing. So we establish a sentient being that is other that we, that we are not going to kill. We decide that we're not going to kill them based on these points that are made here. So within that attitude section, the attitude is not only we don't want to kill that a sentient being for the sake of just not killing. It's recognizing the faults of killing. So there's a reflection that takes place about the faults of killing, an awareness about the faults of killing, and then this mental attitude that is virtuous. So when we have these two together, then we have set up the proper attitude to create this virtue, and then the performance itself is carried out because of this motivation, which is the abandonment of killing. And then the completion, when does the completion takes place? The completion takes place when the culmination, it says, they have also carried out the performance of correctly restraining themselves from these non-virtuous actions, and have brought this restraint to culmination. So the culmination is the final step where one says, I am not going to kill this being. So then the other, these points can be applied in the exact same way to the other 9 virtuous activities.
당가서 나바지는 고주송라 저수 두고네 뭐기 주봉 주진 송기나 아노와테 던두토야 타바토야 상지야라서 편치 보던 송도 말베 근데 예수바도 이나 가드나 지를 저순도네 뭐기 주봉 주진 송와이나 안네 살제야 네 아부마송나 비진야와는 도 송고요 안네 같이 주이나 알알 저순도
So this section, the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity, we find going for refuge to the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We find the ethics, which abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, and then the section on acknowledgement of downfalls if one has engaged in non-virtuous activity. So when we look at from a Buddhist perspective, we are going for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by doing so, we are able to achieve rebirth in the higher realms. We are able to achieve liberation. We are able to achieve complete Buddhahood. So it's very similar to the other religious traditions where there's a statement made through relying on God or through Jesus. In the Christian tradition, one is able to go to heaven. And if one doesn't rely on him or her, on God or Jesus, and engages in non-virtuous activities, then he or she goes to hell or the lower realms of cyclic existence. So we find within the Christian tradition this idea of going for refuge, and then also this idea of engaging in virtuous activities. So there would be this idea that this virtuous activity would then be coupled with this refuge, and then the Christian practitioner would be able to achieve a heavenly rebirth. And then we could say the same for the Muslim tradition. So we, by going for refuge to Allah, we are able to achieve a heavenly rebirth by modifying our behavior and by relying on Allah, we are able to achieve a heavenly rebirth. So we find all religious traditions share these common ideas of going for refuge and then engaging in ethical behavior to achieve some sort of better experience in the future. Other religious traditions are very similar, no?
So we have
this expanded presentation within the Buddhist tradition of non-virtue and virtue and non-virtue requiring various aspects in order for there to be a path action completion. So we find the necessity of having the basis, we have the attitude, we have the performance, and we have the culmination or the completion. So I'm not really sure if in the other religious traditions we have such a detailed explanation of this or not.
What the Kabi landed the longi do temper, Jeba Sheba Nije, Jeba 춘드비추스 어들에 저 카톨 랑상도 사주빈도 어디 카톨레 춘드비추들에 춘드비추도 어디 임바데 수수주나다 송제다 라자 출라다니게다다 제세 나쟁가 레바네 뭐투준 추진레제메스 어디 먹을 주문 거 추진라테네 안 된도 투투 그래 네트워크 장주 투하는데 봐야봐이네야 네트워크 타와 투투 그래 라제가 장주 투하는데 봐야네야 라제가 장주 투투 그래 테바 전부 안에 테바 전부 장주 투도 봐야네야 때네 투투 그래스 what is chundu bichu what is is marbe chundu bichu ya o odil saji somba saji odil legre
Chudro.
chundu bichu what is tachimadu
Okay. Then the susu juodan. Ranchadan the lungari.
chundu bichu do terwa
Chudro.
magjubu chuji somwala tene ane dendru la yone dendru tutu gre tabi la yone taba tutu gre ane tiba chimbi la yone saje tur chundu bisu do marbe ul de lego da uma jobage sosu chu na sonje hote ten go marbe hote somba.
So the next section deals with the paths of Dharma and the explanation of the paths of Dharma. So the paths such as one can, by engaging in the ethics which abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities and so forth, one is able to achieve rebirth in the higher realms of cyclic existence. By engaging in the pathways of the hearer, of the solitary realizer, and of the bodhisattva, one is able to achieve those various levels of liberation. So the solitary hearer's liberation, the solitary realizer's liberation, the bodhisattva's liberation, or Buddhahood. So this section deals with those actions and the pathways. I'm sorry, the migrations. I guess the migrations or the goings from Dharma or something to that effect. It's in Jayan Sheba's outline. So sooner or later we'll get that.
Oda kabi le tandrebo kabi le de la longue gundo temba tan jiba sheba chundu sonje kasa tene wode ndrebo kabi ndrebo marbe ndrebo kabi ndrebo ta kabi ndrebo la son ndrebo la nameji ndrebo jutin ndrebo dabi ndrebo son marbe khazon asu deba mago jutele jaba najin ne gwa jutlo wode jagures ane ndrebo la son les ane go gi le chote ge ndrebo tele son yoares naming ndrebo ane naming ndrebo me la ane lamai what the son chenrezig naming ndrebo marba naming ndrebo to son je tene ware ndrebo la son les naming ne gi le chongotan Dindan, Chenmo, Chongotega Melchegre, and Medan de Bilha Chegre, Dingi Kang Gomaniji, Sacho Hosa, Ding Kang Gomaniji La, and what the Chongotan, Dindan, Chenmo, Medan de Bilha, Kang Gomaniji La, Sacho Hosa, de Bilha. Lama yin what non judgment what about
the garpi le depo. Okay.
Yeah. What kaleluna kuzu inchi tulujana.
Then the garpi le the dodemba, then jepa. Then a
jeba. Garpi le jeba tachi. Then debo. Debo le na son marbe. Nami jindebo. Jutin debo. Dabi debo.
Okay.
Debo la son les. Tambu nami le de.
So I'm going to just read through this now. Therefore, apply to each of the 10 actions the 4 aspects of basis, attitude, performance, and culmination. This is illustrated in the following example of the path action of giving up killing. The basis of killing is another living being. The attitude is seeing killing's faults and desiring to give it up. The performance is the activity of correctly restrained yourself from killing. And then the culmination is the physical action of completing the correct restraint. Understand the others in this way as well. So then now we go into this next section that deals with the effects of white actions or of virtuous actions. So here it says there are 3 types of effects: fruitional, causally concordant, and environmental. The fruitional effect is that you are born as a human, a deity of the desire realm, or a deity in one of the upper 2 realms through small, medium, and great virtuous actions, respectively. You should take the causally concordant and environmental effects to be the opposite of those of the non-virtuous actions. So here, when we look at results, when we look at the various results that can occur, whether they are the results of non-virtuous actions, which are black actions, or white actions, which are virtuous actions, we find that they are divided into 3 categories. First, the fruitional karma, then the causally concordant karma, and then environmental karma. So this first section that deals with fruitional karma, we find this is the actual realm in which one will be born. So here we find this first section. The fruitional effect is that you are born as a human, a deity of the desire realm, or a deity in one of the 2 upper realms. So here, these are related to the degrees of virtue that one engages in. So if one engages in a very small degree of virtue, we find that the fruitional effect is a human. A very medium amount of virtue, we find that the fruitional effect is a deity of the desire realm. And then a great degree of virtue gives rise to the fruitional effect of a deity in one of the upper two realms.
What is it? What did that Deva Magawa Jobu Chini Chonsu the Nyawa Tundul Chendris Nami Jindabo?
Less so.
Go out to the Chini Chonsu Jubere and then Meta, the Bilhata, and then Kankomani Lalchis, Lama in Sodomodua, Lama in the high in Sola, and then what the Lama in Lano do the
Dukan Hua.
Depuis longtemps, and the Kankomani Lachosa. Tagawan didn't go at the Halcheres, Chimbutege, Kankomani, Zokonta, Zumekan Halcheres, what the Sundua, and then also what the Gawachini Chunzu to get Metan, Latan Hama in Josa, Hama is a tan de Villa, what the Lama.
Hlayin, then Lamayin, the Dulayin Bichap. Dulayin Bichap. Okay, Tuchina. So here when we look at these fruitional effects, when we made the various categories, we made them that the greatest degree would give rise to God, a medium degree give rise to demigod, and then a small degree giving rise to human. So when we look at the main categories, a demigod does fall into the category of God. But here we find it a little bit, the breakdown to be a little bit different, where the breakdown deals with the human still at the small degree level, but then at this medium degree level, we find these different kinds of deities presented. So a deity of the desire realm. So I asked Rinpoche if it's a demigod, is it necessarily of the desire realm? And is, so is this a different point that's being made? And then then they have the greatest amount of virtue giving rise to these 2 upper realm God realms. So the Zudan Zumekam, The imba. Okay, so here this is referring to the one of the two upper realms, referring to the form and formless realms. So we find it a little bit different here. So we find that the small degree is a human, the medium degree, desire realm God, and then a great degree being the form and formless realm deities of the two upper realms. So we then just have to have a small doubt. So we've been previously presented this information that says the demigods fall categorically into that. And then we find here it's speaking of the desire realm gods. And then there are other deities that are desire realm gods that aren't demigods. So then it raises this question. Okay.
So the chain Jordan and Nashi Danga in Bos, so said what the Chilianga so Chilimbre, Chetons that you marve. What the Jordan Nashi Kanong tended to be said the Jordan Nashi Kanong tended to be said the Sulagris, Sumarbe. Give legend to what the Denduk suit wrong Mare. Mago at you the gay, Nanduk suit wrong with Rota. Namiji Devil. 다 남이지 되면이나 로마대임 차운데다 거와 먹어 로마대 송도하네 남이지 되면이나 로마대임 차 남의 로도마대 주 세제 주롱 댄신종 남의나 로마대임 차 남의들 제주 송대 남의지 되버들 제주 송대 고르스 뭐 로마대임 봐 세제 주주 뒤봐 주롱도 때문에 싫어종아스 Sunday ki debutele nami ji debulagres mon lo matin ane senjen ki juju duba senjen ki jul ma shuru le mares senjen ki juju duba jul no de tembe cherchwa gawada magawa kanong ke jesu jwa jugores
Then nangla then this sum that's the yanjusuru
nami ji debo
this obulu
nami ji debutele wa cheju sunday gugores mon lo matin ane julon de me cherchwa gawada magawa kanong rebe guru a gawada rebe magawa chen jang de londo temba kanch rande dawa ji res ne ba londo temba kanch rande donga ji londo temba zo de marbe gawada magawa kanong ge jesu jwa senjen ge juju de ba loma ten ba son tsubin rebe de la nami ji de la gres.
Okay. So when we look at fruitional results, we find that there are fruitional results of non-virtuous activities. So the 10 non-virtuous activities give rise to the fruitional result of rebirth into the lower realms of cyclic existence. And then that virtuous activities, so when we speak of virtue, the 10 ethics which abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities, or just the 10 virtuous activities, we find have results, and those results are rebirth in the higher realms of cyclic existence. So virtue gives rise to the fruit of higher realm rebirth, non-virtue gives rise to the fruit of lower realm rebirth. This is what is presented. And then when we look at this fruitional result, and we look at what category it would go into, we would say that it falls categorically into that which has not been presented in Scripture. Luma tangi seni lundan demba kanchim.
Okay, the
Nika Mayimba. The Lung Yin. Lundan Demba Kanchian. Okay. And the reason for this is when we look at the definition of that which has not been presented in Scripture, or sometimes it's defined as named as neutral, we find that it is something that has been presented in Scripture that does not give rise to either happiness or suffering. So as a note, the definitions of virtue and non-virtue are qualified by virtue giving rise to happiness, non-virtue giving rise to suffering. So when we look at this not presented in Scripture, we find that it is something that is presented in Scripture, but does not fall categorically under virtue or non-virtue. Then oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we look at these various things, now that we know that fruitional result, and there's one small section under this not presented in Scripture that I'll have to look at. There's some divisions, but it's only like maybe one sentence or two. So I just wanted to say that there is a small omission. But when we look at fruitional, the Rinpoche Yanjar Suronan, Gonga Mepachi.
What that in the Gileg, Naming in the and the Chewa Zukang Committal Chigres, Committal Lomates and the Lomate Devis, then the Bill had the Alomate and Devi, Hamaya Lomates and the Gujarota, Mel Lomate, Nason Lomates.
So then these results would then categorically fall under that which is not presented in Scripture or not in Scripture. So the results, such as the result of the two higher realms, or then also we say God's realm, or it is the result of the desire realm God, or we say demigods, or it is the result of which is the human rebirth, or any among the three lower realms of cyclic existence. We would find that all of these are fruitional results, and because they are fruitional results, they are then also categorically not presented in Scripture.
That Jutin Debo, that Naming Debo Rosie, that Jutin Debo Marve, Kawaju, Jutin Debo Telekanaja was not Jutin Debo and then Nandune Gaza, Jutin Debo, what is that? Debola Sunle, Namine, Goa Chungotan Dinta, Chenmo Mata. Jebi Latan, Concomani Hachos. That Jutin, Dabi Debone, Magoal do the Jarosa, Magoal do the Jar, Magoal Jutin, Dabi Debone, and Goal what do the Jaros. The Jar, the Larichment of Catulo, Azukale, the Sergeant Rodin.
Less so.
What the Larichim Kazan did Tamatro. Jata Jeju Chani, Jata Jeju Chani Gitene, Tenma Chikile, Deboson les Edgemede, Deboson le, Namage Debone, le la Jubere, Jeto son Cheni Chonson la Tembe, and son dos, Debamago Jubere la, Chebenti Chonson. Tell us so jealous about Jubere, Nyawatan. Ndin da chungu tunrul chewa sa yungojil sondos marba naming debudrowa sa jubin dole to do sombares what the tajita jutin debende dode what the ma go up do da gi jutin debon ne ngandu ne meche jang rimbadar chotongwa da longshu ji pomba wore Tatane Magawa Jutege Nekasore, Nan the ship with Majaba Inaya, Juting Debitele, Satunga, and the Majiba Lambi Debitele, and the Lonshu Pomba Yungres. Tapa Kabalu Marve. Soju Bombi Kilege, Juting Debitele, Serhinwa Yungore, Nemeba Yungores, Ulmani do to Pajaja Marve, Kale with Jashabache Udota. what did you think to
So we are on page, we're going to just go back to page 236 because we're going to look at causally concordant effects. So when we look at where we just left off in the Tibetan, it says, you should take the causally concordant and environmental effects to be the opposite of those of the non-virtuous actions. So now we're going to turn back to page 236 to see what it says about the non-virtuous actions. So it says, even when you are reborn, so, hold on one second. So Rinpoche read this part here. Each of the... Less so. Less so. Less so. Less so.
ane loye pompe debetele choma ane choma yabu yongores marbe choma mason jos choma yabu yongores ne jung debetele kuwa mo yongores jung debetele maddo charge mabushi da jo marbe jung pompe churing debetele wate kuwa meba yongores kuwa meba ane doja shige meba yongores kuwa mo dans ane jung chama marbe chame debetele zawudan iwa seduro chama pombe debetele ane zawudan trobu chanugres trobu yongres ane trobu yongres wad marbe tene jung chama ta chizuro ge judung debetele ane yidu mo da tude gres warwa ta chizu pombe chuting debetele yidu mo da mo anjul kodya te yongres yidu mo da tuba dans ane ta ngachi mar jun chama chizu ngachi ro ngachi ge debetele ane je si meneba slo ro ta je chi nyeba kya she dule tene ngachi de bomba yinso ngachi bombe debetele ku kya she yadle mo nga cha ja ba cha ju yo ba yongres chi nyebas tene what yi je na sen ne sen luta son to marwe cha dang mo son she chewas ta na sen ne sen luta so bombe gi leje ane de cha me bi geza she che bu yongres she da me bi geza she che bu yongres to mo me bi geza she che bu yongres ka ba lu ya je marwe ka le wo lu she ba je wo go den go
so each of the, I'm just going to read this through. Therefore, so we find that the fruitional results section, we find the points that are made from the levels of yogic deeds, as well as the sutra on the 10 levels. So it says, each of the 10 paths of action depends upon a basis of the 3 mental poisons that occur in 3 strengths, small, medium, and great. Therefore, there are 3 fruitional effects for each action. In the levels of yogic deeds, it says that through each of the great forms of the 10 non-virtues, killing and so forth, you will be reborn in the hells. Through each of the 10 medium forms, you'll be reborn as a hungry ghost, and through each of the 10 small forms, you will be reborn as an animal. And then it shows the opposite point that's made in the sutra on the levels related to the small and medium, where it says, speaks of the effects from small for the small and medium forms in reverse. So now we move on to the next section, which is the causally concordant effects. So here, the effects of non-virtue are presented here, and then if we wish to find out what the effects of the virtuous actions are, we find that they're basically the opposites of these. So we'll go through them one by one. Even when you are reborn from the miserable realms as a human, you still experience the effects of non-virtuous actions as follows. So here, we begin with the non-virtue of killing. So through killing, one has a short lifespan. So what is the opposite of that? The opposite of that would be a long lifespan. So one would have live a very long time. So that would be the opposite. So The opposite of killing is the ethics which abandons killing. And then all of the various aspects that have to be present for that to be an actual ethic or an actual ethic which abandons killing. So the next is the causally concordant effect of stealing is a lack of resources. So the causally concordant effect of the ethics which abandon stealing is that you will have many things. You'll have many resources. The next is the causally concordant result of sexual misconduct is having an unruly spouse or a spouse that isn't loyal. So here, this is the negative result, or the causally concordant result of sexual misconduct. The opposite being is that one will have a loyal spouse, someone who is ruly. The next is from lying, much slander. So from lying, we have many bad things that are said about us. If we engage in the ethics which abandons lying, people will praise us constantly and say good things about us. The next is the causally concordant result of divisive speech. So of divisive speech, it's losing friendships. Then if we look at the ethics which abandons divisive speech, we'll find that we will easily have friendships. So we'll become very close to our friends very easily. The next is the causally concordant result of offensive speech or harsh words. So the causally concordant result is hearing unpleasant things. So literally hearing things that are not attractive to hear, that one is not attracted to. The opposite is the ethics which abandons, the causally concordant result of the ethics which abandons offensive speech is that one will hear pleasant things. One will hear things that he or she is very attracted to. From senseless speech, others not listening to your words. So if one engages in the ethics that abandons senseless speech, then one will always be listened to. One's words will become important. And from covetousness, malice, and wrong view. So these were, it says, respectively predominance of attachment, hostility, and confusion. When we have covetousness, we have a predominance of attachment. If we have malice, we have a predominance of hostility. And if we have wrong views, then we have a predominance of confusion. So if we have the opposites of these, so if we have the ethics which abandons covetousness, malice, or wrong view, then we also have a predominance of the lack of attachment, a predominance of the lack of hostility, a predominance of the lack of confusion. So then this is how these results are interpreted when we apply virtue, when we look at virtue in relation to non-virtue in the presentation that's been given here. Rinpoche, Chutsu Je. Okay, so we'll take a short break. Thank you. Good. So we have two. When we look at causally concordant results, we find that there are two categories of causally concordant results. We have behavioral causally concordant results, and then behavioral and what's the other one? Behavioral effects. Experiential effects. Sorry about that. So behavioral and experiential. So these are the two categories of causally concordant results. So when we look at, for instance, the causally concordant effect of killing, we find that they're short lifespan, and then like the Ryanjusurno, the Suchupa, the
Sojo Bombe Sutinje, and Nua Jutin Shosana, Sirinwata.
Okay.
Less, okay. Sheba Jutin Shosana, Sojo Bonakawa.
Okay.
Then I mago shooting Hamagul and Rabin.
So when we look at the ethics which abandons killing, for instance, so in the ethics which abandons killing, we find that there are behavioral causally concordant results and experiential causally concordant results. So if we start with the experiential causally concordant results, we'll find that when one engages in the ethics which abandons killing, the experiential results are that one has a long life. So if one engages in the ethics which abandons killing, one has a long life, and then one will like not killing or have an affinity for not killing. And then we look at the other category. I'm sorry. So that's under the other category of the behavioral causally concordant. So let me just go through that again. So the experiential causally concordant effect from the ethics which abandons killing is two. One will be free of illness, and one will have a long life. If we look at the behavioral causally concordant result of the ethics which abandons killing, we'll find that one will like abandoning killing. So that's it correct.
다 주든 저 같이 다든 대마빌로 사주비 돌에 주든 저 니니 송도스 보튼 마칼렌드로 말아 대마빌로 간주이로 간주.
So this is from the
대마빌로 사주비 돌에네 네 마고 주들 주든 저 니니 송도스 전나지 네 goa judle jutin de ni pa kalun jaga jigro
lasso
demba belo de sajubi ndole ne rela de ni son de kete majeba inaya bana teba mago jude ngasol ta ne majeba inaya na cheton la ne mo wa da cheton la ne mo wa de cheton ne mo wa 다들 소주 보면 추진지 유튜브 레벨라 서rinwa 내매봐 대용그레스 파자고 보면 돼 서rinwa 내매봐 대용그레스 다 마진발레 보면 추진 레벨라 네 롱셔지 뭐 본봐 롱셔진다 제가 도모마이 봐 용그레스 말베 아니 수제바 마지발레바 다 로인지 그 무슨 이때도 모론 라스 초만데다도 제바스 다 로인 bombi 제버들레 네네 초마야 부용 그래 네 초마도 튜브 용 그래 ndenda 매바 용 그래 스마르바 ane zungi debatele zungi bombi debatele no kuwa meba jenda ko doja la ke meba tan chano kuwa mamo shi jeje molo atnas jeje chazi shene molo yungres kondonje ta zun chama marbe chama ge wate kondo komandonse ta kondonje 소소 코드가 튜브 용어레스 콘동시 명예바다 콘동시 명예바다 타마 시주 말바다 시주 이도 뭐 다트여야 되게 네 이도 뭐 다트여봐 타빈치도 먼저 어떤 용어세도 말바 어떻게 갈래 주잖아 카발로들라선 그도 자동시선 디사버
Okay. The chapter of the Truth Speaker and the Sutra on the 10 Levels both state that each of the non-virtuous actions has two effects. They say that even if you are born a human still, as a result of killing, you would have a short lifespan and many illnesses. So here we look at the opposite when we look at virtue. So as a result of the ethics which abandons killing, you would have a long lifespan and be free of illness. The next category, as a result of stealing, you would have few resources, and the resources you do have would have to be shared by others. So the ethics which abandons stealing allows one to have many resources and not have to share one's things with others. So this is the second point. As a result of sexual misconduct, your helpers would be disorderly or untrustworthy, and you would have a contentious spouse. So here, if one engages in sexual misconduct, then one has these negative faults. If one engages in the ethics which abandon sexual misconduct, then one's helpers will be very committed and trustworthy. And then it says you will not have a contentious spouse. You will have a loyal spouse. As a result of lying, others would slander you a great deal, and they would deceive you. So when one lies, people deceive you, lie to you, and would say bad things about you. So if one engages in the ethics which abandons lying, then all of these, then one would experience only nice things said about them. One would not be slandered, and one would not be deceived. One would be told the truth to. As a result of this divisive speech, your helpers would not get along and would misbehave. So as a result of the ethics which abandons divisive speech, then one's helpers would get along. So whoever's helping you, all of your helpers would get along, and they wouldn't act unruly. They would act in control in a very kind of normal way. They would not kind of calm way. As a result of offensive speech, you would hear unpleasant and quarrelsome speech. So that as a result of the ethics which abandons offensive speech, then one would hear attractive things. One would hear pleasant things. One wouldn't hear arguing going on. One wouldn't hear argument. One would hear speech that is very straightforward and nice.
다 나세 로다 손되게 주팅 데버들 와다서도와 나세게 주팅 데버들한테는 너바치 추마셰바도 용거레스 다 나세 보면 주팅 데버들라 너바 총신 추셰바 용거레스 너바 총신 추셰바 제네 너세게 데버들라 네 매펜바 초아 펜바 모소와다 펜바 모소사데 안에 너세 보면 데버들 펜바 초아 안에 what 용거레스 말바 초아다 젠라 너바셰바 젠제 너바셰바 조와 다스 조와 what 만조와도 용거레스 다 보줄로 자자 말바 조와 다스 다 로타 봄비 추링 데버들라 안에 따와 장신 유주젠도 조 유주젠도 만조 송소스 어텐시다 뇨아 주트인스 라마 코마소고테 뇨아 주트인데서 원마 안에 소저봉 추진 주들 가부테 가데 셰바 주트인자고 송도스 말바
네 강가로
어들루자 테즈
Okay. As a result of so we left off with offensive speech. As a result of senseless speech or gossip, your words would not be respected or understandable, and your confidence would not be unshakable. So if one engages in the opposite of gossip, which is saying important things, or not having the ethics which abandon senseless speech or gossip, then one's words would be respectable, and others would understand them very clearly, and one's confidence would not be shakeable. So you couldn't shake one's confidence. The next, as a result of covetousness, you would have great attachment and no contentment. So here, as a result of the ethics which abandons covetousness, one will be able to have the absence of attachment and be content. So it would be one would not have this attachment. It would be the great amount of non-attachment, great non-attachment and contentment would be the result of ethics which abandons covetousness. As a result of the malice, you would seek the unbeneficial unbeneficial or not seek the beneficial, and you would harm others or others would harm you. So as a result of engaging in the ethics which abandons malice, one would by engaging in the ethics which abandons malice, one would not be harmed by others. One would not harm others. One would seek what is beneficial out, and so forth. And then the last one, as a result of wrong view, here it says you would have bad views and would be deceitful. So as a result of the ethics which abandons wrong views, one will have correct views and not be deceitful. So the former gurus assert that liking to kill and so on, even once you have been born a human, are causally concordant behavioral effects, and the above-mentioned effects are causally concordant experiential effects. So when we look at the behavioral effects of killing, we'd say that is a liking of killing. One would really like killing, and then the experience would be abandoning. One would have a short lifetime. So I'm sorry. So if we look at the causally concordant behavioral result of the ethics which abandons killing, we would find that one would like not killing. And then if we look at the causally concordant result of the ethics which, the causally concordant experiential result from the ethics which abandons killing, we would find the long lifespan. One would live long without illness. Ji so. Si mama de.
Nywa jutun de sheba jutun ni san dang wo wo de tama de galo nywa jutun de es. Ta sheba jutun de gwa ju gaba yungor wo de sheba jutun de es.
So the causally, we look at these causally concordant results. There are always two, and behavioral results and experiential results. And if we look at the behavioral results section and how they relate to these 10 non-virtues, or the ethics which abandons 10 virtues, is that the behavior will make it so that one has more of an affinity in the future for these types of behaviors, be they virtuous or non-virtuous. So when we look at the behavioral results and relate them to any of these 10, we would find that there is this affinity that will take place in the future.
다 주팅 제부들 간자가 줄 마도 실을 자모도와 다 주팅이 제부 남이지 제부니데 간자가 줄 마도 실을 자모도와 다 된마 단데 용도 단데 다 실을 자모도와 다 다빈 제부스 다 다빈 제부스 띵서다 내송송 컨트리어 말베 내송송 네 사이네 메이네 워도술 단데 로딩서 단데 Dande, on what the Dabin de Bon, Organ de Bonessa, ne Sujibi Legend, Hujin Jitin, and Zaton Dam Hedan, Debo, Lonjola Suba Tochunwatan, Nebatan, Nobatan, Tu Chunwatan, Jukashi Ne Jebe, Sentient Picture, Samazibayan, Chawajuatans, Tawate. 수제비 단데 말바 다 수제 bombi 추팅체 수제 bombi 길레제 다빈데버들네 수수고 롬바당 사 동아도서 네바치와 팬 네바치와 안는 제부터 쳐와 안는 페이지도 페르선데 드지도 안는 사기 네바치베 임바다 네바치와 네바도 노바다 또 쳐와다 줄하신 내 매제베 네 세베지 츠마제베 쳐면 좋았어 뒤미 쳐용 말했어 뭐 팔로냐 말이야 단데 수제베 제베들 보줄론 파자제로 수제베 제베들 토총와다 네바 매바들 자로와 나 수제 bombi 추징 제베들 토쳐와 네바 쳐와 드자 팬도 비다 용거레스.
So now we move on to the environmental results. So we've gone over the fruitional results, the causally concordant results, and now we get to the environmental results. So up till now, when we look at these, so this last point that was made about the causally concordant results, these are inner results. So these are individual. These results that we're speaking of are relating to the person personally. So it's relate to that individual personally. The next environmental effects is an outer result. So Rinpoche, the word inner result and outer result was made, but the word inner in this case is referring to one's own result versus something outside of one's self. So results that are outside of the person and his or her experience as well. So he or she is experiencing it, but it is not the result like it is the being, it's him or herself, or these short lifespan, etc. So just to make that clarification. So it says environmental effects. From the non-virtuous action of killing, such things in the external environment as food and drink, medicine and fruits will have little strength, be ineffective, have little potency and power, or be difficult to digest, will induce illness. Hence, most living beings will die without living out their expected lifespans. The environmental effects, okay, so here, this is showing the environmental effect of killing, and it shows all of these things about the external environment and the things that are within the external environment not being good for you. So for instance, food, drink, medicine, and fruit will have little strength, so will not be able to nourish you, will really not have very much ability, or the word ability is used, but meaning that there's really not a lot of potency or power that these drinks have, or medicines have, or fruits have, and that if they're being used for something specifically, they don't have the power, they don't work, they don't have the power. And then it says, hence most living beings die without living out their expected lifespans. So most beings die because of the negative things within the environment. So the fruits and so forth and the medicines lacking potency, not being complete, not being good for you. So these are the points that are made here about environmental results.
Majimba lemba ne drebu nyuwa dan drebu majimba lemba drebu drebu nyuwa and the majimba lemba pombi chutin da gi le drebu mowa drebu tomba drebu manjowa drebu ane maruba marba ane temba meba da kasa 차부터는 게 매봐 템바 매봐 차 차체부 매봐 차바체부 용마 차바체부 용나 중요로 참마체 봐 데브 마감바 데브 마감바다 매봐면 좋아 라서 어디 단데 용그레스 데포줄론 자잔다 말베 야
Hence, most living beings will die without living out their expected lifespans. The environmental effects of stealing are that you will have few fruits. The fruits you will have will not be perfect, will change, or they will be partially spoiled. There will be severe droughts or torrential downpours. The fruits will dry up or disappear. So the fruits will die up or disappear. So by engaging in stealing, one will have all these negative results. So like this, with the ethics which abandons killing, we find that the opposite effects are true related to the environment. The same is true for the ethics which abandons stealing. So in the case of the ethics which abandons killing, we find that one's medicines and drinks and so forth have potency and power, whereas when one engages in the negativity of killing, then this is the opposite is true. They don't have power, they don't have potency, they aren't complete. So when we then move on to stealing, the ethics which abandons stealing brings about a life where one will have many fruits, and that the fruits that one has will be powerful, will be potent. They won't rot very quickly. They won't constantly change, and so forth. So this is the environmental effect of the ethics which abandons killing. I think that I got everything in there. I apologize if I missed anything. Dixon.
Ta loyin pompi shooting gay leg dande the redwa. Loyin pompi shooting dande, loyin pompi gay leg dande ne, shanje danza meba, jen the masan meba, trunga mo meba, nyanga meba, ne nyamaga meba was what do loon marbe, what the Rajul Jaja marbe. And Loy Pombi shooting Legi leg and Rebetalo, what did those who do is that?
Okay, that's so. The environmental effects of sexual misconduct are where there is excrement and urine, mud, filth, unclean things, many evil smells, misery, and discomfort. So we find that the environmental effect of sexual misconduct is this, and then the opposite is true. The environmental effect of the ethics which abandons sexual misconduct is that one lives in a cleaner place that is free from excrement, urine, mud, and so forth.
And Jebu Yungus, Shele Yabu Yungure, True Lega Jena, Lega Garjena, Yabu Yungures, Joa dance, and Tumba Jushin, Jenda, the Chambu Yungures, Tumba Jushin, Peche and Peche Maloa dance, Jenda Logumaris, Maloa dance, and then Jiba Yungumaris, Jiba dan Jisu Ronyu, and the Yansalas of Jisu Ronyu. The
environmental effects of lying are that any work that you do in fields or on boats will not flourish. There will be no harmony among your workers, and for the most part they will be deceitful, and you will be fearful and have many causes to be afraid. So here, if one engages in lying, these negativities will happen, but the environmental effects of the ethics which abandons lying is that any work that you do will flourish. All those who work for you will live in harmony, will work in harmony, and they will not deceive you, and you will not have reasons to be afraid. You will not have reasons to be fearful.
Tama bombi chuti debo, Tama bombi ki leji debo de yungures, Sashu Bambu member, Jangjung member, Toma member, Droga member, Jiba member, Jesu Ronyu, Jumabotoma debo de yungures, Marba.
The environmental effects of divisive speech are that you will be in a place that is bumpy, craggy, uneven, and difficult to traverse, and you will be fearful and have many causes to be afraid. Then Pombi, Jepogare.
Tama bombi debo, Tama bombi debo de Sashu Bambu meba, Jangjung meba, Toma meba, Droga maimba, Jiba meba, Jisu Ronyu, Judama demba to Yungures. Yeah.
So then when we look at the ethics, the environmental effect of the ethics which abandons divisive speech is that we're in a place that's even, that it's a very smooth, even place that's easy to walk around, and there's no reason to be afraid, so there won't be any fear that one has. So this is the environmental result of the ethics which abandons divisive speech. Dixon.
Dixon. Chezu bombe chutinji dade chezu bombe gi leje dabin debu karazna sashu dondon meba sama meba ne dotan sema meba chomo momowa ne zuba dan dam noba meba dam noba po chutan 초단 띵가도 그거 야부용 거랬어. 매바 간사당 차고당 네 고도 매바 타체당 디바 젠지 지당 지매바 지비 주마보다 매바 어때 용 거랬어 말봐.
In Pamba?
No.
Pana?
Or the bomb is everything.
The environmental effects of offensive speech are that you will be in a place that is full of logs, thorns, large rocks, sharp stones, and many broken bricks, and lacks waterfalls, lakes, or ponds, and rough, drab, arid, salty, barren, vile, and is a place of dangerous animals, and you will have many causes to be afraid. So the opposite of this is the environmental result of the ethics which abandons offensive speech or divisive speech.
This one.
Dixon.
What Nasan Luda Sumo Sutunge and the Dabin David Shed Marba? That Nasan Dabin Devo Nasan Bombi Sutinji Davide. Nas what a Nachi Bombi. Ngachi bombi chuti ngachi bombi gi leje dabin debo junshin la debo chaba page tree to debo abu yongores debo chaba tu meba machaba ane debo tus chaba ne mami ba pheba manawa mami ba mani pheba manawa da ne zawa madeba meba zawa tembu yungo mada ne rindu neba da junshin du rindu neba ina shindu mobu yungo da kungara nace zimbu nya gawa mo jibi ju mobu da madeba ote yungo se nasen bombi geile jinrebo nasen bombi churingi dande de ote yungo res da Nachirbe. Nachiro. Nasa Jule. With the Nachi Bombi Chuti, Gile Rebimber.
The environmental effect of senseless speech or gossip are that you will be born in a place where fruit trees do not bear fruit at the wrong time or bear no fruit at the proper time. And the unripened appear to be ripe. The roots are not strong. And the tree does not last long. There are not many comforts such as parks, groves, and porches. You will have many reasons to be afraid. So the environmental effect of the ethics which abandon senseless speech is that the trees will be plentiful. There will be a lot of fruit. They will They will appear at the correct time, so that they will bear fruit at the correct time. And that they will ripen properly, so they won't rot, and the roots are will be strong and last for a very long time. So these are the environmental effects of the ethics which abandons gossip. Dixon.
Ta nasa bombe ne chutin ane chutin nasa bombe gi leje dabi debutele ane pension soba tanji lore dan tuchi dan dawa dan shar yan ane menyanshin pe ya pe yungres ane nasa ga manyan do korwa nasa bombe chutin dan nasa bombe gi lele den otuzu ya pe yungres re menyanshin 네 맨딜라 페와 당사 다는 어때 지주셔는 말이야 야
가바카손
나세로
Okay.
나세는 변송 소바 타지 로르당 뒤치당 다와당 샤르야 냐신 딜라 페와네 메바트사도로 다테 나세 bombi 길에 나세 bombi 추지 단데들 변송 소바 타지 로르당 뒤치당 다와르진 네 마냐시 야페운 거레스 야안도자 그레스 what about the
The environmental effects of covetousness are that all excellent things will deteriorate and diminish every year, every season, month, and even each day, and will not increase. So here, the environmental effects of the ethics which abandons covetousness is that one's things won't deteriorate or break. They'll remain like new, if you will, or like new. And they will not diminish every year, every season, each day, etc. And they won't decrease either. Whatsoever. So they are going to. So that's it. Diksung Rinpoche.
다 너세 bombi 추진 너세 bombi 길에 단데 간다샤 오르스나 네 너세 제네 양당 너바당스 네 양당 양용고 말이 너바 용고 말이스 안네 내모고와당 초바매바당 파르제 마술레 초롱 마마와당 로말 말로스부터 매바샤는 거 그래.
맞아요.
되는 생기 집어 매봐. 생기 집어 생거당 따라 소바도 두두바진 좀 봐. 디바당 생제 마마와당 디바당 생제 마마와당 뇌지 두바당 총공라 소바 마마바 네바 매바 어떤 용거에 손대서
The environmental effects of malice are that you will be where there are epidemics and injury and infectious diseases, quarrels, and many disputes with opponents, enemies, lions, tigers, and the like, poisonous snakes and scorpions, and many fireflies, and harmful yakshas, robbers, and the like. So the environmental result of the ethics which abandons malice is that there won't be academics. It will be a very overall good health and no infectious diseases. People won't be fighting and so forth. And then it lists there won't be poisonous snakes and scorpions and lions and tigers and robbers and so forth. So if one engages in that ethical behavior, then one abandons that which is its opposite, the non-virtuous behavior.
다 로다 pombi 추진지 단데 로다 pombi 네 기레제 단데 용거스 회지지대나 종콘 추당 수모노바 다 신당 추당 세당 종고 치부 여바도 매바 차고 말레스 노바 먼저 와다스 ngobu zangwa taso ngobu zangma yung kores ma zangwa me ba ane do ngen wa tang chudu zangwa ne do ngen me ba ne chudu zangwa tang dawa zangwa chudu zangwa dawa chudu yinsar ba do ngen da chudu zangwa ale 동네도 그걸로 추 장완 제바 마장와라 장완 제바 어디 마장와 어디서 매바 용거래서 다 더와 뭐 장완다 더와 장완다 마장와 더와 장완다 장완 제바 용마레스 내다 주바다 저 매바면 좋아 내야 부 용거래 사자야 부 용거래 또 네 사지 건축로서 전에 아브라 그랬어. 어디서 말해?
The environmental effects of wrong views are that you will be in an environment where the best and principal source of resource will disappear. Where unclean things will appear to be most pure and misery will appear to be bliss, and where you will have no home, protector, or refuge. So here, this is the environmental effect. So the opposite is true. The environmental effect of the ethics which abandons wrong views are that one will have resources that will remain there, will not disappear. Here this section talks about seeing the unclean as clean. One will not have this distorted perception if one engages in the ethics which abandons this wrong view. Then also the misery will appear to be as it is. Suffering will appear to be as it is. So there won't be this mistake related to these things. So if we looked at the 4 points that the Buddha made, we found the point about the seeing the pure, the impure as pure, and seeing the impermanent as permanent, and seeing suffering as happiness, and so forth. These points are in here about this. So the non-virtue creates that misperception that sees these things as permanent, clean, or happiness. And so creates this non-virtue, creates this environmental effect. But the virtue creates the opposite. One will recognize that the unclean is unclean, and that the miserable is miserable, and that one will have a home and be protected and have refuge. So these are the points related to the 10 non-virtues and the environmental effects.
So
when we look at the 10 virtuous activities, we could say that the Gyanjusuna, the Gewaju. So we've gone over the points that are made related to virtuous action and their results. So the environmental results we've gone over now, and then we went over the causally concordant results, and then the fruitional results before. So now we've gone over these sections on the virtuous karma and their results.
Namiji debate tatinga sobre. Gi namiji debate gawachini chonsong tege meta debi hata kan komani laljen res. Namiji debate marbe. Ta jutin debate lawate jutin debate ne sajubi dul ni sonsong nywa jutin da ane wo sheba jutin sonsong. Ta dande wa danda te kadudre. Namiji debo, Judin debo, Dabin debo, Songwa. Ta leje, Dabin debo dele, and she Jidin Shagota, Sai Yutan, May Yutan, Nansung Yutul, Dande Jano Marbe, Dande. Ta Namiji debo, Judin debo, Nebetel Kanza, Juluma to Shul Madota. Ta Namiji debo, Judin debo, Dande in Achamucha. Dande ta jutun debol masum majin gewa tojun chabakari nabi debe dande ma achamcha jutun debe ina dande mi chadamacha.
Okay. So then we can look at these in terms of debate. We can say how many permutations are there between fruitional results and environmental results? How many permutations are there between environmental results and causally concordant results? How many are there between causally concordant results and fruitional results? So then we can start to see how many possibilities or permutations there are related to these 3 subjects. So we find that there are 3 results that are related to virtuous deeds and non-virtuous deeds, those being fruitional, causally concordant, and environmental. So then we can begin to compare these subjects to find out if there's any one that pervades the other, and so forth. And that's why we look at it by way of the three permutations. So we begin with so we went through the fruitional karma, causally concordant karma, and environmental fruitional results, causally concordant results, and environmental results. And we found that the fruitional results and causally concordant results were related to oneself, and then the environmental results were related to something that is external of oneself. So the Shinsi, the Namen Jepo, the
Namen Jepo Dande Achas.
The Kalabasa.
Jutun Jabin Dabin Jabin Achamach, or the need Dabin Jabin, Jutun Jabin Macha. Dabin Jabin and Namin Jabin Macha, the Chudua, and then also Desagi Shinkantus wrote the contrary. There's a Namin Jabin Jutumaro.
Then Garimacha, Namin Depo,
Namin Jabina, Dandi in Michas, Pichilla, Nakande in somebody.
Daji Micha.
Namin Jabina Dandi in Michap. Jutun Jabina, Dandi Michas, Lana the Loggerda. Dandi in a Jutun Jabin Macha. Dandi in a Namin Jabin Macha Logoda. With the two words, sometimes.
So then we then look at these. So if it is a fruitional effect, is it not an environmental effect? If it is an environmental effect, is it not a fruitional effect, or is it not necessarily a fruitional effect? If it is a causally concordant effect, is it necessarily a fruitional effect, or is it necessarily an environmental effect? So this is how we then begin to look at these details and how they relate to one another.
So then we check. And then Nami Jabina Dandi Achals, Jutun Jabina Dandi Achals, what the Tobadota. Tigors.
So then we have to go to scholars, and we should ask then, how many permutations are there are between fruitional karma and environmental karma? If it is fruitional karma, it is necessarily environmental karma, or if it's fruitional effect, is it not necessarily an environmental effect? If it is an environmental effect, is it not necessarily a fruitional effect? So these are the things that we can ask of scholars to explain to us. So then the scholars would be able to explain this. But then when we look at these and we hear the teaching on them, doubts arise immediately in our mind related to these different points that are made. This is what the debate is for, and for clarification of these things. This is why we debate, because of the debate, the doubts that arise in the texts. So that we could say if it is a fruitional effect, it is the Nami Jepo Yina Dabi Jepo Yimbichao.
Judy Jabina, Dabi Jabim Lana Pichi, Kande in the Pichi, somebody So
there are some who would probably think it is fine. Maybe I'm not sure myself. But to say that if it is a fruitional result, it is necessarily an environmental result. If it is a causally concordant result, it is necessarily a fruitional result. So we could say these, but this is for scholars, and I'm not sure. We find this in the logic primer, where we find various definitions and the definitions and definiendums. And maybe if we look at this collected works, collected topics is what it literally is called. If we look at these collected topics, then we'll be able to find out the meaning more clearly.
Dabin Jabone, the Dale, do the Jaros, to what the Jatan Temarbe, 어떻게 다긴 자들어
Diga.
자다 제주 장아 자다 제주 장아게 어디 물마티 사주바 사주면도 티다들어 아 데불라 송 남이지 데보
Yeah.
다비 데보 주튼 데보 송 용송
Less so.
되네 남이지 데보 주튼 남이지 데보다 다데 다마게 틀에 두드자고 두드자로스 어때 그저 인식 통 어때 그저 추드다
Jiju Jinga. Sumba lay
자주 장하로 어때 자기 것들 지사던데
dinan Tom. In Chukabi already? Didan.
데불라 송레 남이네 기 그거 중고던 데다 쳔비 마다 데비 하다 칸고만이지 하치우스 남이치 다 주튼다 다비 데보네 먹어와래 두두 샤로스 두두 자통도 데마르베 와도 고슬때 고도다
Hey, Kabara.
다긴 군자들에 가비 레단 데보 마르벤 데보 가도다
Less so.
데불라 송레스 데치
Oh, okay. Rasa. That's cool. Jiju Jinga. This side Jupido, okay.
디다다
Okay, so I'm just going to read this whole section. There are three types of effects: fruitional, causally concordant, and environmental. The fruitional effect is that you were born as a human, a deity of the desire realm, or a deity in one of the two upper realms through small, medium, and great virtuous actions, respectively. You should take the causally concordant and environmental effects to be the opposite of those of the non-virtuous actions. The sutra on the 10 levels says that those who have cultivated these
어때 올래 추르 비스데 다른 가서 두두자 말해
then it says
이 다마다 두두자세 다마레 로야도 던장들어
so then Rinpoche said that goes on further than we're going to go. So we're going to stop there and we'll come back next week to this. The Jalo, the Triwa, you right?
오케이 야
Yes.
My assumption is that because this is in the karma section, we're talking about future lives. But these sentences kind of imply that if you kill, you will have a shortened life. If you steal, you will have an unhappy life. But that's not always true.
Suchupa, the lay, say this, say shema, the kongi triwa, gangi sen the suchuna, then the say tong, then the say de, jewa shema, kongi triwa. Gangi sen injike that say did andrapo, yene.
수정은 데버들라든 통주뉴주다 진행뉴지 라자제 송용거로다
Lasso.
천들로 수진 천들라 서통아 용식으로
Lasso.
통주뉴주
Lasso.
근데 저와 셔만 용식으로 송가요 그래
Lasso. So there are 3 degrees or 3 levels. So when we look at any karma or action, there are these 3 potentials for experience. So there are those actions which give rise to result in this life, those actions that give rise to result in the immediate next life, and then those actions that give rise to result in many lifetimes later. So there are these 3 different results. So it's possible for the experience to happen in this life, but then it's also possible for those other 2 categories as well.
Yes.
So we'll do the concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. Thank you for everyone bearing with my voice, and we'll go from there. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. Holy Lamas high. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings, sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara, Gyatso, may stand till samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Rinpoche, holder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts, with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tu Jiram Che Gutsi Shapi Denonang, Matsu Lamrim